Kwa hiyo ukishapata mashine yetu unapata support ya limited technical service, lakini pia unakuwa na on-site product repair kama itahitajika, lakini pia unakuwa na preventive maintenance mara 3 kwa mwaka. Kwa mwaka unamda mara 3 kwa miaka yote 3 ya service ya warranty ya mashine. Kwa mara moja visit kwa mwaka, lakini pale popote panapohitajika kuna uhitaji wa kurekebisha mashine muda wote tunapatikana. So tunafanyaje hizi service? Tunafanya na kina nani? Hizi service tunafanya na local partners, tunao partner kama Cosmetics Limited, lakini kulingana na uhitaji na kulingana na hali ilivyo uhalisia wake, kwa sasa tumejitahidi, tumekuwa na biomedical kwa kanda. Tuna biomedical kwenye kanda zaidi ya 5. Tuna biomedical kwa ukanda wa kaskazini, tuna biomedical kwa ukanda huu wa Dodoma, tuna biomedical ukanda wa Dar es Salaam, tuna biomedical ukanda wa Mwanza na Mbeya na Mtwara kabla ya kufikika. So kote huku utapata utakapohitajika repair, utakapohitajika technical support, preventive maintenance, tuna engineer ambao wako certified. Lakini sio hapo tu. Kuna baadhi ya vituo vya serikali ambapo pia tumetrain wa mafundi vifaa tiba kwa ajili ya kuendelea kusupport hizo mashine hata pale ambapo hazina warranty itakapokuwa imeisha. Tunafanya hivyo. So tuko proud sana kuendelea kufanya kazi na local partners. Kwa yoyote ambaye angependa kuendelea kushirikiana na sisi, tunawakaribisha zaidi na mawasiliano yetu yapo, na niwakumbushe tu kwenye meza tuliweza kupeperusha kwa ajili ya mashine zetu na kuna namba za simu pia ambazo tumeandika. Tunawakaribisha sana. Kwa yoyote mwenye swali, mwenye chochote, tutaomba pia mpate kutuona kulingana na muda. Naomba nimkaribishe mwenzangu Ibra kwa ajili ya kuja kuongelea gradi ya DC.
Asante sana. Self surgery, self anesthesia. Sawa, nashukuru sana kwa pre-record na Dr. Osiana, najua ushazungumza mambo mengi sana. Mimi nina hii karatasi ambayo inaongelea mambo ya Graduate Institute. Nadhani kila mmoja anayo kwa upande wake. Tangu tumeanza mkutano, wakati Madam President anatoa speech ya kwanza kabisa na wakati Mheshimiwa waziri alipokuwepo hapa, basically alikuwa anaongelea sana kwenye upande wa issue ya training na namna gani ambavyo wataalamu wengi wanakosa mafunzo kwa kiasi kikubwa. Nadhani kwa watu wengi ambao wanakuja kwenye training zetu huwa wana spend siku 3 siku 2, lakini pia na sisi tuna realize uhitaji wa kuwajengea uwezo ni mkubwa sana. Kwa hiyo tulikuwa tumependekeza kwa shirika, kwa hiyo tumetengeneza kitu kinaitwa Graduate Institute. Kwa sasa tuko kwenye mazungumzo na stakeholders mbalimbali, wabia mbalimbali ambao we are putting the funds together ili sasa tuweze kuanza official training kwa nchi ya Tanzania. Kitu kikubwa tutakachokuwa tunafanya ni kwamba tutakuwa tunafanya kazi kwa karibu na association kama TANZANIA, kwa tunawaambia yale maeneo ambayo wanaona sasa kuna uhitaji mkubwa wa training. Wanatuambia watu gani ambao wanahitajika kuweza kufanywa training, kama ni kanda ya Ziwa na kanda zingine zote tuna mobilize, then wanakuja sehemu moja. We'll be able to cover everything, kwa maana ya transport, kwa maana ya malazi, lakini pia kuweza kuwapa kitu cha kuweza kuwasaidia, lakini at the same time pia mtakuwa mnapata haya mafunzo. Kwa hiyo let's hope for the best. Ni kitu ambacho tunaanza kufanyia kazi. Mtakuwa mnakumbuka hivi karibuni kulikuwa na mkutano mkubwa sana wa World Congress of Anesthesia ambao ulifanyika Morocco. We officially launched hiki kitu na kuna watu wengi sana ambao wanaonekana wana interest ya kuweza kusaidia. Kwa hiyo Madam President, support ambazo tunatupa na ili ni waahidi kwamba tutaendelea kuweza kufanya kazi kwa pamoja ili kuweza kusaidiana vizuri kabisa. Lakini pia tuna representation ya Dr. Osiana ambaye anatoka kwa ndugu zenu pia watu wa SATA. I hope nadhani ushirikiano wetu utaendelea vizuri. Wao ni miongoni mwa TOT's training of trainers ambao tulionao. Lakini pia nakumbuka Madam President alisema baada ya kusema hayo, nawashukuru sana, asanteni sana kwa support ambayo mnatupa Graduate. Najua mashine mnazo sehemu nyingi, changamoto pia ziko za hapa na pale, lakini we are more than ready kuendelea kushirikiana na nyinyi kwa ajili ya kuweza kutatua hizo changamoto. Hizo karatasi zimeandikwa namba za simu za pre-board limo, ni yule pale kijana mnamuona na nguvu kabisa, yuko vizuri. Mkimpigia simu muda wote, kuna issue yoyote na kila kitu tuambieni. zinakuja na isoflurane pamoja na sevoflurane. Kwenye vituo ambavyo probably wana iso wanahitaji sevo, tuambieni kupitia hizo namba, tutawasaidia bila shaka kabisa. Na kwenye vituo ambavyo bado wana halothen wanahitaji iso, tuambieni pia, we are more than ready kwa ajili ya kuweza kushirikiana. Sisi hatuna aim ya kuweza kufanya biashara zaidi ya kuweza kusaidia kuweza kutoa sekta endelevu. Asanteni sana na Mungu awabariki sana.
Okay, so thank you so much for your attentiveness. Na kama President amesema ametoa namba yake for technical support, but we are also available for any clinical support in case unahitaji labda we are not ready to assist. So thank you. Na kama tulivyosema, kwa maana nauliza swali la kwanza, source za oxygen tano. Anza na concentrator. Tunajua ni mazingira yetu na availability of oxygen, sio? Bado ni changamoto. So we still need your EM, right? Kwa sababu oxygen inakuwepo. So let's keep using them and help the patients. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Brian. Okay, guys. Welcome, Dr. Bukir.
Thank you very much. Just clarification, my Swahili, well, I've forgotten a lot of my Swahili. You guys are speaking so fast. Question one. If I got it right, you say you have a guarantee for 3 years. During those 3 years, radiant means free technical support. Now, what happens after the 3 years? Then secondly, what's going to happen to your health vaporizers?
Thank you for the good questions. So far, after 3 years of warrant, we have an extendable warrant that we can get into agreement with the customer. That will be somehow of cost sharing for that, and that is why we have partners like distributor like cosmetics there for that, to get into contract for service of those machines. And the parts are there. The only challenge is on those units that are from 2018 to the years back. And the other question was,
The halogen vaporizer.
yes, what will happen for those halogen vaporizer? So for all these new units that you have seen from the 2022 up, we have a plan for that, because we have distributed more than 50 units with a single vaporizer of halogen. So the plan is to replace for all those units that are from 2022, and we replace upon request from the customers, because they are the ones that are using. So someone has access to halogen and some others don't. So for those that prove that they don't have access to halogen, we replace for free. But for those that seem like they need it for their for those units that are from 2022 to the back years, those ones that are still out of warrant, we discuss with them for the cost sharing. Otherwise, if there is a need that prove that they need and they don't have access to fund for that, anything can happen once we have someone that can cover that cost. And we have proof of that. We are done to some facilities, and we're still doing it. At the same time, for those units that are from 2018 to back, we have planned for that. The vaporizers are compatible, and they can go from unit of 2022, 2028, 2018 to the ones that we are supplying now. So the vaporizer can go across all those units. Just a matter of replacing a small mounting block from the back.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, moderator, welcome.
Thank you so much, Guardian Health. It was a great lesson we learned from you. Makofi for Guardian, because they are our biggest sponsor learning about. So without wasting any further time, I would like to welcome Professor Fenton for the presentation.
to stay awake. Will you stay awake? 30 minutes ago. I first came to Tanzania in 1989. That was the transport. KISAYANSI. See, there's still some snow on the mountain. This is the airport truck. And we went on that bus. So this UAM was invented in Malawi. I worked in Malawi since 1986. So I came a year after this machine arrived, Danish, called the Malawi machine. So you can see it was a workstation structure, because up to then everything for demand flow had been EMO or something like that. Tabletop, what I call tabletop anesthesia. Even in Malawi Hospital, when I went to Malawi Hospital in the early 90s, it was tabletop anesthesia. All the vaporizers were locked in a cupboard and had to be brought out every morning to get the list going, which got going at about 10 o'clock in the morning. So the workstation was a great advantage, and it had oxygen concentrator, drawer over vaporizers, but the disadvantage was pipelines. These water trap tanks were useless, ambu bag, ambu valve, and there was no pediatric circuit. You can ask, why should Africa need its own special machine with a name? You don't get the British machine or the American machine. Why should you have a Malawi machine? But that's how it was. By the 1990s, the pipelines had gone, the ambu bag had been replaced with a bellows, there it is. But there's no ventilator, no gas analysis, no scavenging. The valve was in the airway, which is a nuisance, and replacement parts were no longer made. You can't buy an ambu valve anymore. You can't buy a PD valve anymore. Who's used a PD valve? Anyone used a PD valve? A little orange valve for children? No? Nobody knows it. So the other options were the EMO, as you can see, very useful. Holding the door open. And the Gloucester bed, nobody likes it. And a few years later, we're using the Gloucester bed there, but you can see there are problems. Do you know that man? Anybody know that man? We'll see him later on. So he's trying to get some oxygen out of this Gloucester bed. There's no oxygen. He's got everything ready there. Laryngoscope, tubes, there's a patient just off the screen. But there's no oxygen. Meanwhile, for adults, we got this. This is a standard machine that's been converted to draw over to demand flow. So we've got our bellows, there's a vaporizer. Nothing else works on this machine. This is in the 1990s. Nothing else. There's an EMO over there. There's a close-up. These are the pack vaporizers. Anybody used a pack vaporizer? Has anybody used a pack vaporizer? Henry has used a pack vaporizer. I'm getting a lot of blank stares from the audience, but I can't see any closed eyelids, so I think we're okay. So we got donations of compressed oxygen machines, and that's what they were used for. Can you imagine that? To stop the patient falling on the floor. Very useful. It had brakes, of course. Here are the brakes. So we wanted to know what machines were working and what were not working in Malawi. And Gradian sponsored a survey in 2011, I think. So that's the cost event. Not many in use, you see. Conventional machine, fairly useless. Malawi machine, hardly any in use. The UAM is 100% in use, but it was only made the year before, so you would expect not to have broken down. And then the EMOs, nobody using EMO. So that was our machine survey in Malawi, and a set of machine Can you all understand my English? Yes. Oh, good. Praise the Lord for that. Thank you. So that was conducted by our same ACO, Cyril Gidia. So this is a typical Malawi hospital in those times, in the 1990s. Still looking for the solution to providing anesthesia in this type of hospital. We want what's called EMOC, Emergency Obstetric Care, which means a C-section. This is in the lower Shiri Valley, very hot, inhospitable area of Malawi, very poor. And this is the theatre inside Ngabu. It's called Ngabu. Look at all this. Nothing working here. Oxygen concentrators all buggered. Cylinders all empty. Failed attempts to give oxygen. So, in the end of 1999, 2000, I approached a UK manufacturer. He made this machine, based on a design of mine. This is in Ngabu again. And here we have it at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, where I worked again. But the company was, now this is what I learned. You can't just go to a company and say, make this, I've designed this, you can make it. You have the tools, you have the factory, you make my design. That doesn't work. Henry Okwira told me he was taken to Penlong, the factory Penlong that makes anesthesia machines, and he was expecting a kind of production line, an automotive production line, all modern machines, and all they showed him was a screwdriver and somebody fiddling with an EMO. So he wasn't very impressed, and I wasn't very impressed with the company making this. You can see there's a bit of wood there. See, that's not very good. You know, you don't expect to unpack a brand new machine and find a bit of wood holding something up. And there was no interest around the world. This is in 2001, and it needed a rethink. So the challenge was there was no all-purpose work anywhere anesthesia machine that conformed to international standards, i.e. CE mark, UK regulations, FDA, etc. What do we need? We need no compressed oxygen. We need a concentrator. We need drawer-over vaporizers with modern agents. We need a ventilator. We need a breathing system that allows gas analysis, so the AMPU valve is no good. And we need a battery backup, mains protection, solid construction, easy service, safe and user-friendly, and affordable. Either subsidized or cheap. Now that's the problem, because subsidized is not popular with a lot of people. And it's got to comply with international standards. Now, you won't have heard of Sir Robert McIntosh, but he went to Spain and he fought in the Spanish Civil War in the field, and he used ether and he used God's good air. I want you to remember that expression, God's good air. He came back to the UK and he saw all his colleagues using compressed oxygen. And he said, you don't need to use compressed oxygen. People were using ether at that time, by the way, not halothane. Halothane wasn't invented then. So he said to his colleagues, you can use ether with air, God's good air. And that's where that expression came from. They said to him, why make something simple when you can keep it complicated? And that's another very important expression, because that's the way the world goes. The world always makes things complicated when they could be simple. And God's good air is free. That's the great thing about it. And it never runs out. It's always there. Here we are in this room breathing it. So in Rwanda, they don't use God's good air. They truck these cylinders right across the country, and 99.9% of it never reaches the patient. Now you may wonder, how come that oxygen never reaches the patient? Is it leaking somewhere? No, it's not leaking. It's being delivered into the system, but the system is that it doesn't reach the patient. So here's an illustration. The size of gives it to the patient. And you add some agent, and you have a ventilator. So that's your anesthesia machine. It's not good for poor countries. It's not good for the environment. So I put this little slide in, and you may wonder what it's all about. Giving oxygen is like taking a shower. Most of the water goes down the drain. It doesn't wash off soap or dirt from the person. It ends up down the drain. You know that. We'd like to have a lot of water, but most of it goes down the drain. And it's the same with oxygen. Most of it is wasted. 99% of the oxygen you give your patient never reaches the blood. But we have to waste it. The system is that we have to have lots of oxygen. Otherwise, it's like having a shower with a few drops of water, only the bare minimum. You need a lot of water for your shower, and you need a lot of oxygen for your patient. So the only answer is to make it cheap. Oh, and don't forget Stevie Wonder. You know Stevie Wonder? Who doesn't know Stevie Wonder? Do you know why he was blind? Nobody? You know he was blind, yeah? You know that. But you know why he was blind? He got given too much oxygen. As a neonate. He was resuscitated with oxygen as a neonate for a prolonged period, and he got blind. So I said high pressure is a hazard. Is it a hazard? We've used these flow meters. This one had a piece of glass here for the flow meter. The unfortunate gentleman opened the cylinder. This glass thing exploded, and that man is blind today. From the glass, not from the oxygen, from the glass. Did he jog our friend there? He's asleep. Here's a picture from Kenya, not that long ago. This is a 130 bar pipeline repaired with zinc oxide tape. Can you imagine 130 bars being held down by zinc oxide tape? So, this is nonsense. All I'm talking is absolutely nonsense, because the Chinese will give us a pressurized system and someone else will pay for it, right? And that's what happens. So we put these economic machines that are good for the environment and don't use up a lot of oxygen, but actually nobody cares, because we're getting it from somebody else. So the demand flow system operates at atmospheric pressure plus supplementary low pressure oxygen, room air, concentrator, and each of this patient, everybody's happy. Now, it's a persistent myth. I think it's in Uganda, the myth. Anyways, not it's in Uganda. The low flow circle system economizes on agent consumption and oxygen and will save us money. That is rubbish. Absolute rubbish. Here's some little numbers now. Here are 4 different gas delivery systems. A Michelson D, which is, you probably know, it's like the ASTP's pediatric circuit. Very wasteful, as we know. It's a very wasteful system. $17 an hour total cost. Using the correctly configured circle system with low flow, starting with 5 litres down to 1 litre per minute, is more economical. But this is the common situation. The circle system, where nobody has replaced the soda line. And every time I go to any hospital and I look at their circle system, I wonder when the soda line was last replaced. So you have to have the 5 litre flow if you don't replace the soda line, and that puts your price up slightly. But the demand flow system using free oxygen, just the cost of electricity, $3. So it's the cheapest system to use in terms of consumption. I did a study, these are 2 years, 20 years apart, 1994, I think it says 2015. So you can see the cost of anesthetic consumables has gone up slightly. You can see it's a bit more expensive. Although the ISO has come down, and halothane has come down, sevoflurane has come down massively in price. But costs of a salary for a clinical officer, 10 times more. House rent, 10 times more. Bag of maize, 10 times more. So you can see anesthesia relatively to other costs has got cheaper. So my design for the UAM was to get the best of both worlds. Now, how do you make something? Well, there's the screwdriver, and there's something, a bit of an ultra bellows. You have a design. I went to a university. This is in a university. It's hopeless to get to universities. They never get it right. So we ended up with this, which didn't go anywhere. I was hoping to get this, but that never happened. It's an uphill struggle, and nothing happened for 5 years or more. Until this lady arrived. You know this singer? Madonna. She came to Malawi in 2006. And she was going to adopt some orphans. She did adopt orphans. And it worked out quite well, actually. And I persuaded her, I was in contact with her, and I persuaded her to give me £6,000 for an anesthesia machine. I didn't actually have an anesthesia machine. I had to sort of be a bit creative. I was between anesthesia machines. I was between the one I showed you earlier and the UAM, which had not yet happened. So, as I say, you have to be creative if you're looking for money. And then I got very lucky. I was working in Nepal, in the foot of the Himalayas, and I came across this man. Some people know who this man is. I'll mention his name. And after 2 years of schmoozing the man, Jim Simons, his name is, a very fine man. He died a couple of years ago, unfortunately. We got to New York, and we agreed a large amount of dollars to make an anesthetic machine. And money gets results. So here we have the factory, and here we have our production line. My dream come true. An anesthesia machine being made in quantity, high quality. That's the thing, high quality. Thank you very much. So then we moved on to the ventilator. This is making the ventilator. The factory was in Oxford. It's still there, I think. And it all depended on this balloon valve function. So that was quite a challenge to get that to work properly. And it does work properly. I should mention that in all the years this has been going, 15 years the UAM has been in use, the balloon has only failed because it was vandalized. It was vandalized in Uganda by somebody with a pair of scissors who shoved the scissors up this hole here and snipped the balloon with the scissors. And then somebody else, in a separate incident, removed the balloon altogether. So when the gradient people came round to service it, they found no balloon. But otherwise, it's behaved itself. So the result was the universal anesthesia machine made in the UK in 2010. Robust, low cost, high quality, work anywhere, easy to service, and funded from the USA. USA, they got the money. Never forget. You know, I love America. I love America, and I love American people. A lot of people are against America at the moment, but America will always be there. Never forget it. So after 5 years, Madonna's machine finally arrived in Malawi in 2011. And there is Cyril again. Cyril was my stalwart supporter in Malawi. He's retired now. Now, we've got to satisfy the regulations. Regulations make a lot of work. You can see here. You've got to go through all that. But we went through it. From 2 years, we went to CE marking, MHRA, which is the UK testing, in UK, in Glasgow, Southampton General Hospital, Great Ormond Street Hospital, Poole General Hospital, and finally in Nepal. We had to have the UK testing because the Nepalese would not be satisfied unless it was tested in the UK at the best hospitals. Great Ormond Street, you may have heard of it, is one of the top hospitals. Southampton Hospital is the second largest teaching hospital in the UK. So the UAM went through its paces. But the rollout, the initial rollout was in Nepal. And this is the Nick Simons Institute, NSI. Nick Simons was the son of Jim Simons. Jim Simons, a great man, a very wealthy man. He had the tragedy of losing his beloved son, Nick, while he was going around the world. I won't go into that anymore. It was a great tragedy, but Jim started the Nick Simons Institute in Nick's memory, in his son Nick's memory, and that's NSI. So we had 4 machines there it is, with all the Kathmandu staff rolling out in 2010. And we started off in 4 hospitals. This is Tanzania Hospital, right up in the Himalayas. Terrible weather up there, you can see all the rust. Okay. They kept waiting all day, and now they're giving me 10 minutes. What do you say to that? So everyday transport problems in Nepal, here we are, you got stuck. The Nepalese people are the most amazing people. They never get, there's no such thing as road rage in Nepal. Everybody's calm all the time. You think you've got traffic jams in Dar es Salaam, this is traffic jams. And a landslide to go with it. We went to Haiti. This is a surgical camp in Haiti in 2013. We put one in a Satari refugee camp in Jordan. Arabs playing with it. Ethiopia. We went to Somaliland. All these places have got UAMs. There's Cyril again in Egypt. And then we made a ventilator. I'm testing it there in Malawi. It's the new ventilator. And we went to Groote Hospital, best hospital in South Africa, the public sector. There they are. This is their chief technician. He took great delight in unplugging all the gases, switching off the electricity, and nobody noticed. So the gas went off, the power went off, and nobody noticed. The surgeon didn't notice, and the anaesthetist just carried on. So they were happy. And today we've got about 800, I don't know, Gradient will tell you the exact number, around 800 units in about 30 countries. So back in 2014, we had a very promising future. The UAM was nominated for the Tech Awards in Palo Alto. The Tech Awards are the Oscars of Silicon Valley Tech. And Palo Alto is the center of Silicon Valley. And the UAM was nominated as a finalist for the Tech Award. That's me. Anyone? The first prize. Out of all the contestants, the UAM took the first prize. So in now 2025, there's a new model, but the 2010 low-cost stream is no more. The original idea idea was to make it subsidized. That hasn't happened. Tanzania has more UAMs than anywhere else in the world. I don't know how many there are, but I would say there's over 200 probably. I finished. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay. Any question? I think we are going to cover all the questions tomorrow together. Thank you so much. Yes. We are winding up and then tomorrow morning. Yeah, thank you, sir. Okay, thank you so much, and let us congratulate all of us for paying attention. It has been a long day. It's been a long day for us, and thank you for the resilience and all the things. Just 1 minute for moderators and Madam President, if you have any announcement, because we want to leave so that we can join tomorrow. Thank you for your resilience. Thank you for your uvumilivu wa hali ya juu. It has been a long day, but we hope all was well. Na tunashukuru kwa hali tuliyopata. Probably tusingeyapata, lakini tunamshukuru Mungu tulipofikia. Madam President, tuendane na muda, karibu.
Jamani, muda nafikiri umeenda sana. Tunashukuru sana kwa tuliyopata leo. Nafikiri kuna wengine ambao tumetoka mbali sana tusingeweza kupata nafasi, lakini yote tushukuru kwa sababu tumekula muda sana wakati tulipopata mkurugenzi wa mafunzo. Nafikiri na hizi Zoom zimekula muda sana. Yaani ni vipindi vingi havijafanyika vilivyokuwa vya leo. Kwa hiyo tumejilazimisha, lakini kesho naomba tuwahi mapema. Tungeweza kuanza saa 2 kamili, tungeweza kutekiliza vipindi vyote vikaisha angalau. Kwa sababu kutakuwa hakuna maana ya mtu ambaye tulimwomba afundishe, ameandaa kipindi, alafu tumwambie amekosa muda wa kufundisha. Next time tukimwambia, kwa kweli tutakosa ushirikiano. Nawashukuru sana kwa uvumilivu wenu.